Welcome to the FM and Workplace Services Framework Social Value Returns webinar. This guidance will detail what data is required in line with Joint Schedule 5 Corporate Social Responsibility. We will cover why are we asking for this data and what we will do with it, what is required, the social value measures, how the data will be collected, data submission guidance, and a final check on what you need to be aware of. We know our suppliers do great work delivering social value as organisations and via contracts, but we have had no formal means of gathering this information. The information you provide us will give us an overview of your initiatives, and in turn this will help us better inform potential buyers as to the benefits of using the RM6232 framework. Please start thinking how you will collate this information and the people you may need to engage with to provide a response within the 10-day timeline. Following Framework Award, all successful suppliers have provided CCS their social value baseline performance data in accordance with Joint Schedule 5 Corporate Social Responsibility. Using this data alongside 6 monthly social value data returns should show social value progression within the supplier organisation and specifically government-wide FM contracts during the life of the RM6232 framework. Initially, it was agreed to provide the performance data quarterly, but we have adapted this to 6 monthly due to the length and time it takes to award contracts. The team will use the baseline data information, award question responses, and submitted social value returns to support conversations at supplier relationship meetings. For example, 1 month we might concentrate on modern slavery assessment responses. In the development of the framework, it was determined that these 6 key areas of corporate social responsibility impact facilities management, and therefore CCS will monitor suppliers' progress against these key social value measures. The 6 monthly return will break the requirements into more detail. The 6 areas are listed within this slide. On a 6 monthly basis, starting on the first anniversary of the framework, CCS will issue suppliers a submission Google form to complete. We will also provide a list of key dates for the returns for the lifetime of the framework. Questions will ask for more granular data from what you have provided within your baseline submission. Questions will be based on CCS-specific contracts and also your organisation as a whole. To ensure this is not an onerous task and data collected is accurate and meaningful, we have ensured the majority of questions asked are for a quantitative response in a number or percentage format. There are also narrative response questions which require no more than 100 words. Please only provide a short summary in any narrative questions. We can discuss these further at review meetings, or we may be in touch by email for more information. We will now guide you through the social value submission form for the next 22 slides. The FM team will send this form every 6 months for every supplier to complete. This is a mandatory return. In section 1, it details that you will be prompted to complete the form via email from the FM team, and this should only be completed once every 6 months. Another important aspect of the form is that it will provide you a period in time of which the form relates to, for example, January to June, and therefore only the data within this time period is to be included as part of your submission. This is important so suppliers do not double count any aspects of the data in which it has been included in previous submissions and therefore already counted. In accordance to Joint Schedule 5, a minimum of 10 working days will be provided to suppliers to complete the return. Please make yourselves aware of the requirements in Joint Schedule 5 as you may need to source this information from various teams within your organisation. Also in section 1, it asks for an email address. This is to confirm your organisation, link with other submissions made by your organisation, and provide us with a point of contact just in case we have any queries in relation to the submission. At the bottom of each page, you can click Next to progress through the form. It also provides you with details of your progress. On this example, it is showing you are on page 1 of 8 of the form. If Clear Form is selected, this will remove your answers from all questions and cannot be undone. In section 2, all we ask is for you to confirm which organisation you are completing this on behalf by selecting the down arrow and clicking the relevant organisation name. Performance Indicator 1 correlates with your completed modern slavery assessment, which is available at supplierregistration.cabinetoffice.gov.uk/MSAT. Your scores are located on your dashboard by clicking View More, or on page 3 of the downloaded MSAT report. You will need these scores to complete this section. Performance Indicator 1 correlates with your completed modern slavery assessment. The Modern Slavery Assessment Report will provide you with your most up-to-date scores for each of the key 6 areas and your total performance score. In this section, all scores are a percentage and should be recorded as a percentage. In the example provided above, the score for the governance is 97%. Please note Performance Indicator 1.1 to 1.6 are all quantitative questions and only a number represented as a percentage is required. Performance Indicator 1 continued. As you can see in section 1.7, we ask for you to briefly describe any actions you have taken or how you have progressed the recommendations within the MSAT report within the reporting period. An example of this may be that your organisation scored low on training. To improve the score, your organisation arranged annual mandatory training for employees to complete on modern slavery awareness. Modern slavery assessment is a live assessment and should be updated, and recommendations should be progressed. As recommendations are progressed, then the scores within the report should increase within each 6-monthly submission. Performance Indicator 2 is all about carbon net zero and what activities your organisation are involved in to support your commitment to achieving carbon net zero in accordance to PPN 0621. 2.1 requires a number of activities your organisation has taken to progress your carbon reduction plan within this time period. Please note, only a number is required in this section. My example on this slide is 1. 2.2 requires a narrative, and my example response here is we have started to replace our petrol or diesel vehicles with electrical vehicles. Performance Indicator 2 continued. Please note section 2.2, 2.4, 2.5 and 2.6 require a narrative response. As some of the responses required are related to RM6232 contracts, we recognise that some of the responses will be nil return until contracts are awarded. 2.1 and 2.3 require a number response only. 2.3 requires a number of carbon reduction activities that benefit the buyer via the RM6232 framework only. My example shows the answer as 2. 2.4 requires a narrative and links to question 2.3. My example could be all bulbs that need replacing on our maintenance contracts. LED energy saving bulbs will be used. All our offices by the end of 2023 will have smart meters installed to measure emissions consumption and make better informed decisions by using this data. Performance Indicator 3 is all about apprenticeships. These questions are related to the number of apprenticeship roles created against the role type for this time period. In the baseline data, you have already provided the number of apprentices within your organisation, so this return is just related to the RM6232 framework. Performance Indicator 3 continued, but in regards to apprenticeships by role, which started on the RM6232 contracts prior to this reporting period and are ongoing throughout this time period. These questions are related to the number of apprenticeship roles created against the role type. Performance Indicator 3 continued. 3.3 refers to the number of roles involved in RM6232 contracts specifically, which have ended during this reporting period. Only a number is required for all of these questions. Performance Indicator 3.4 is asking for the number of apprenticeships by role on RM6232 contracts specifically, which have ended during this reporting period, but where the staff member was subsequently retained within the organisation. Performance Indicator 3.5 asks for any good news stories you can share with us in regards to any initiatives in relation to apprenticeship schemes. An example could be where an apprentice has impacted or contributed to the business by completing a project which has delivered a great outcome. Or it could include something about achieving qualifications. Performance Indicator 4 relates to diversity and inclusion. Performance Indicator 4.1 refers to women within roles employed by your organisation on RM6232 contracts. The data required here is a percentage. Performance Indicator 4.2 asks for a percentage against each role within your organisation, identifying as being part of an ethnic minority on RM6232 contracts specifically. The data required here is a percentage. Performance Indicator 4.3 asks for a percentage against each role within your organisation who identify as having a disability on RM6232 contracts specifically. Performance Indicator 4.4 asks how many staff members against each role within your organisation identify as prison leavers on RM6232 contracts specifically. Performance Indicator 4.5 asks for a percentage for each role within your organisation identifying as part of the LGBTQIA+ community on RM6232 contracts specifically. 4.6 requires a narrative. We are looking for examples of recruitment initiatives put in place to encourage underrepresented groups or any other examples to address inequality in the workforce. Performance Indicator 5 is in relation to small, medium and large enterprises and the voluntary community and social enterprise sector. It asks for the number of these within your supply chain and the number delivering on RM6232 contracts. It also asks how many subcontractor opportunities have there been within the reporting period, and then specifically how many of these are SMEs and the VCSE sector. 5.5 is an opportunity for you to provide a narrative of any up-and-coming initiatives or actions you have taken regarding engagement with these sectors. We want to hear any good news stories where you are working closely with this sector to deliver great outcomes for our customers. Performance Indicator 6.1 is in relation to prompt payment and requires a percentage of undisputed invoices paid within 30 days by your organisation to your RM6232 supply chain. 6.2 requires a narrative of any issues you have come across and the action taken to resolve any delay in payment within the 30 days. That comes to the end of the data submission guidance. Please ensure you are completing the performance indicators correctly by ensuring the data collected is for the correct time period. Identifying if a numerical or narrative response is required. This is to ensure the data collected can be compared like for like. Also ensure the data provided relates to whether it is asking for organisation as a whole or related specifically to RM6232 contracts. If there are any queries with the data received, we will be in touch. Please ensure the data is submitted by the date detailed on the form. We hope you have found this webinar informative. If you do, however, have any questions, please contact the team at the email address shown on the slide. Thank you for listening.